Now, the nice thing about this, once you slide it inside of there, it's not going to come off. I highly recommend the pedal extender or the shaft with the nut on it. Welcome back to the community, everybody, and thank you all for being part of it. Please don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps a lot with the algorithm so other people see this video, and hit the notification bell. That way you know the minute I put a video up, you can check it out that day or later on, but you'll know I did. Today, we're going to do the one last requested video for right now because I really need to get on the car. I don't mind doing requests, but this will be the last one for a brief period. We're going to do a pedal assembly removal. Check it out, see what maintenance it needs done, and I'll show you how. And then we'll do a pedal assembly install. Next week, I'm going to try to get on that headliner refurbish because I need that out of the way. Okay, let's get on it. So probably perfect timing on the request though, because I'm going to go ahead and pull the seat out. It's not bolted down, and it'll give me better camera angles to show you what's going on. I was in a car the other day with Scat Pro cars. These things are so comfortable and are Oliver approved. Yes, one of our own members sat in it and told me what he thought. So, all right, so I am going to show you something real quick here. We have had this pedal assembly out before. And as you can see, a spacer right there. I did use a big boy pedal assembly extender to take the brake and clutch and move them further apart. So that is a little bit of difference in mine in case you do see it and go, what the heck, why does that look funny? There's a spacer in there, and I did do a video on that. Now, something else I did want to show you. We're going in the passenger side. I didn't do this. But if you look right there, somebody had cut the tunnel open. And you're thinking, why would they do that? Well, a lot of times, people that are not familiar with Volkswagens will cut a piece of the tunnel open because they think that's how they're supposed to unhook the clutch cable. Don't do that. I got to weld that shut now. But that was there already, and I did want to bring it to everyone's attention. This is not the first one I've seen like that. So first things first, you need to go to the back of the driver's side of the car, jack it up, secure it very properly, okay, so you're safe. You have to get up underneath, and you need to de-adjust or loosen up your clutch cable. Your clutch cable at the end has a hoop in it, a hole. And what that does is it hooks to the hook on the side of the pedal like you see here. Okay, so you don't have to take the cable off. Don't take the wing nut off completely. You're just going to go ahead and loosen it enough so you're loosening some tension up. Now, obviously, I do not have my gas pedal on here, all right, because I've had this out before. So you're going to pull your gas pedal back, and don't worry, we'll be taking this out, and your throttle cable is going to come out of here and just hook right onto here. So you can take a pair of needle nose and just unhook your throttle cable and push it up to there, and it'll be out of the way. Okay, let's dig in now and start taking it out. Whatever you do, do not loosen this nut, okay? You have a locking nut, and then you have the stem that goes into the master cylinder. Do not, whatever you do, loosen that nut. It's already adjusted, but we're going to go over that when we put it back together. Just so if you have to adjust it, I'll show you how. You've taken your throttle cable off. You've loosened the clutch cable so there's no tension on it. So we have our 17 millimeter. Let's reach back to this one here. Oops. There we go. Wrong size extension, but you get the point. Now you have a spring right there that will unwind, and that's okay. Wind that out. Remember, don't turn the nut on that. We came off the pedal stop since it got loose, so the clutch fell forward. Okay, so now let's get our bolt out of the way. We're going to go over a few things once I get this out, some maintenance stuff. Here's your other bolt. They're 17 millimeter. This is out of the master cylinder, or out of the plunger. So we're going to take and slide this out of there and take it over to the workbench. Now, obviously, you're all going to have your pedal assembly out for a different reason. So I'm going to show you a couple maintenance things, and then I'm going to show you how to put it back in without having too much trouble. So we have our pedal assembly here. And here is the push rod. I did a video on this. This is adjustable. Now, you don't want to start adjusting this. Leave it alone. If your brakes are functioning properly, it's fine. Leave it alone. We'll go over this when I'm putting the pedal assembly and how to adjust it if you have to. Now, leave that alone. Put it aside. Check your spring. Make sure your spring is okay. They do sell new springs. That's the one that goes against the floor, so make sure it's fine. There's no bends in it or nothing strange. Here's something that you want to check while you got it out. You're going to want to check this because a lot of times these get dirt buildup down inside of them. So if you have to, I'll show you something here. There's the pin. And of course, this came off. Now, you want to clean this real good. Make sure the wheel looks good. Does it look okay? You can change these. There's just a clip right there, and you can put a new wheel on there. Make sure the arm is straight. Now, they're not perfectly straight when they're on, but make sure it's not bent, because if it is, you need to straighten it back out or change it. This here, clean this slot out very good. Spray it, clean it out, get a little brush in there because you get a lot of dirt buildup in there. And what happens when you have dirt buildup, you're not getting a full throttle. And we need as much throttle as we can out of these. Now, obviously, mine looks different here for the clutch cable and that because I did the big boy pedal extender. Your regular stock VW pedal assembly will have a hook on it because the shaft will be different like this. You will have a hook, and that's what hooks on to the clutch cable. Now, sometimes these hooks, look at this, that one's done, but I saved this so I can show folks. That brake's going down the road, it's game over. This one's not as bad, but it is carved out. You could probably do a little MIG work and a little fouling. But I do highly recommend that you get a new end for it, new shaft, which, look at that. You just unthread it, you put your clutch cable on, and snug it up, and you're good to go. And it makes it easier putting it in, and I'll show you that shortly, okay? So if you have to, you can knock your drift pin out. I've done that in a prior video. And you can take this completely apart. And when you take it apart, you can smooth the shaft out with some, some mild sandpaper, clean everything up, put some grease inside of here so everything moves very nice and smooth. So let's go back over to the car and go ahead and start putting this together. All right, so you see the pedal stop right there, okay? Whoops, right there. Now, your pedal stop is what keeps the pedals from falling forward. That one probably looks a little weird to you. And that's because that's for the pedal extender, the big boy pedal extender. The one that you will have, if you don't have that, will look like this. Make sure that you go underneath the car. You'll see the bolt sticking through the floor. Wire brush it, clean it up, PB blast it. If you need to loosen that, just don't crank on it because you can break it. If you have to use that for adjustment for your pedals so they don't fall forward or, you know, anything of that nature, make sure to do that. Now we are back in the car, and you want to pull your clutch cable out, not completely. You just have it loosened up at the back so you can pull it out. If in fact you have a factory hook, it's going to hook on to that clutch cable. It'll loop right inside of it. Come on, just like that. Now, the only downfall with the hook style like this, which it's the factory one, is if your clutch cable falls forward when you're putting the assembly in, it will unhook. And see what it did? So you don't want it to do that. So make sure to keep that clutch cable up, or you can go to the back of the car, pull on the cable, and snap a pair of vice grips on it so it can't pull forward. It should make sense to you. Mine is different, obviously. It has the newer style, the aftermarket. So let me swing around the other side because I'm trying to work around the camera. Give me 1 second. I'm going to slide that on there and slide the pedal assembly over. It's probably hard to see this. I'll show you in a second. Get my washer on there and my nut. I'm only cranking it by hand with my fingers for now because I got to pull it back out to put the carpet in. And it's on. Now the nice thing about this, once you slide it inside of there, it's not going to come off. I highly recommend the pedal extender or the shaft with the nut on it. So we are going to put this in like that. Okay. And now a lot of times I like to put this spring up here by lifting the pedal assembly. So I'm going to take my push rod right now though, put it in the master. We'll go over that in a second too. There we go. You'll have a boot. Nice. There we go. What a nightmare. Let's slide our clip into place so the push rod can't come off. There we go. Now that's in position. Now, a word to the wise. Take your bolts and clean them nicely. Wire wheel the threads real nice. Clean them up so they go in smooth. I'm going to go ahead, be in your way just for 1 second while I get the bolt started. There we go. Let me get the back one started. So let me get that wound in. Stuck. Let me get this. Put a ratchet on. Some films are harder than others. Some are easy to film, and then some are tough, depending on the angle. That's why I took advantage of popping the seat. Let's tighten this up. We're definitely going to go over that rod. That is very, very important. Especially if you bought a car, the pedal assembly was missing. I'll go over it. There we go. See how that rests against the pedal stop. A little bit of noise there. Give me a second. This is what you call one-handed working behind a camera. Now, we have our pedal stop in place. Now, if you need to adjust it, you can. We'll go over that in a second. I'm going to get needle noses and hook this up on. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt, so I'm going to attack it from the other side. Almost. Okay. Now I took the needle nose, I looped it up and around, and you push it on. Oh, these things are a bugger. Maybe somebody else has a trick to the way they do it. You want to make sure it's in the hoop like that. They're a pain in the butt. Next thing is next. You're going to go ahead and you have your hole here. You're going to take your throttle cable and hook it back into here. Now, you're going to go ahead and put your gas pedal on. Now, you could have done that previously. It's nice when it's out of the way, but I'm not putting mine on because I'm going to do a roller pedal, which I'm going to eliminate this because I don't want it in the way. That's your call what you do. You just have a spring, your pin, and your gas pedal. Pretty self-explanatory. Make sure this is clean and move smooth. Do you see what I mean now? This is against the tunnel, I'm sorry. So the pin can't slide out. That's how the throttle stays in position. Now, what we have here is the master cylinder rod. It's what I call it, okay? That there is supposed to only have 1 millimeter of play. So when you're pushing this, and I'm talking play, if you see what I mean, use the screwdriver there. If you look at the push rod, okay, it's only going to be 1 millimeter of play. I'm going to do some adjustments on mine. It's not right. But that will be 1 millimeter of play between the push rod and where it activates the plunger, okay? If you have it too tight, you're going to end up with your brakes pretty much locking up sometimes once they build pressure up. So you want to go ahead, the top of the pedal will be 5 to 7 millimeter travel, okay? But the pin itself, the push rod going into the plunger, okay, into the master, will only be 1 millimeter down here of travel. So you have a 1 millimeter gap is what there will be. I hope that makes sense to you because it's very, very important. Make sure your bolts are snugged up really tight. Okay, don't get carried away. And go at the back, and now you're going to adjust your clutch. Okay, and that's a different video. Now, if you find that your pedals are too far forward, like they're laying down or what have you, you just loosen up your pedal stop and adjust it to where the pedals should be sitting. So that should make a lot of sense. I hope it does. Don't play with that master cylinder pin if, in fact, you did not touch it or move it. If you did, then you're going to have to adjust that. That's not a game. That's pretty serious. I actually had my Super Beetle, the last one I did, and I put everything together. I didn't know the last guy must have been playing with the adjustment on the push rod. I'm back here with the car running in the garage looking at it, and the motor's running, and I glanced down, and the brake lights came on. Just all by themselves. Boom, they illuminated. I'm like, what just happened? I started chasing wiring. I did it for about an hour. Could not figure out what was going on. But when I took the car for a test drive, because I said, heck on it, I'm not worried right now about stupid brake lights. I wanted to drive the car and see how the motor and transmission were. I was losing power, losing power, losing power. Yeah, the pressure was building up in the master because that pin was too tight, the adjustable pin, and it was applying the brakes. Be careful. I know that was a crap story for you, but be careful. Make sure that's adjusted properly. And I did do a video on that. You'll see at the end of this video, you can click on it to make those adjustments. So I hope that's helpful. So that's your pedal assembly, install, removal, and of course, tips and things that you need to know. So I hope that was helpful. There's not a lot to them. It's just a really mechanical, old school setup, but you do need the maintenance them once in a while. Now, don't forget to adjust your clutch when you're done, but I think I already had said that. Okay, so I'll see you Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time in the chat. We've did 2 weeks in a row of the club chat, and I really have a nice time doing that. I hope everyone has a great upcoming weekend, and take care.